afternoon, friends. It is August 25th, 2018, of course, and I'm in Umbria. My conversation today is with Dr. Paul Wallace, Emeritus Professor of General Practice. I want to apologize to everybody for my notes that I will be referring to pretty often, as I always do. And now, Dr. Wallace, Paul, as we have decided, let me introduce you. Well, I have 8 questions for you, Paul, okay? My very first one is, as a general practitioner, you were awarded the President's Medal by the Royal College of General Practitioners. So?
Well, I don't know what to say about that. It was a great honor. Every year, the Royal College of General Practitioners select somebody whose work they want to recognize, and I was very fortunate.
You must have done something good.
Maybe
we will talk about that today. So my second question is, as a teacher, your focus has been in the potential to use family medicine as a setting where medical students could learn about all aspects of medicine, not just family medicine. And this is done both domestically and internationally.
Yeah. Yes. You'll see as we go through the interview that I'm passionate about family medicine and general practice. And one of the reasons is that most of us spend most of our lives at home, living in our family and social context, and don't want to spend too much time in hospital. And it's very important, I think, for doctors, whether they work in hospitals or work in general practice, to understand that context. And so one of the things that we started doing was to get the training of medical students, which was almost entirely undertaken in hospitals, where people spend very little amounts of time. We got that training to take place in general practice as well, family medicine. And the program that I was fortunate enough to be able to lead was a program where hospital specialists and family physicians would teach the medical students together. So whether that was around psychiatry or whether it was obstetrics and gynecology, rheumatology or old age medicine, the students got a view from the hospital specialist. At the same time, they got a view from general practice. And that meant that whether they ended up as general practitioners, 50% in the UK do, or hospital specialists, they had an all-round view both of what goes on in the hospital and what goes on in general practice. And as you said at the beginning, that's something that started largely in the UK, and I'm very glad to say it's caught on not only in the UK but also internationally.
When did it start in the UK?
Well, the work that we were doing, actually, it wasn't the first bit of work. I think the earliest work probably started sometime in the mid-80s. This program we started in 1995. So again, quite a long time.
It's been going on. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
My next question is, as a researcher, most of your career has been devoted to the identification and management by general practitioners of patients with risky drinking patterns. And actually, you have led a number of studies in this field.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this is a very important field, and I think most of the people watching this will be very familiar with alcohol, not just as something that we use pleasurably, but also as something which has potentially very serious dangers and sometimes lethal dangers, tragically. In fact, there's an article in The Lancet this weekend, this very 25th of August, talking about the burden of disease due to alcohol. And one of the tragedies is that it has a disproportionate adverse impact on younger people. So people between the ages of 20 and 45, 50 disproportionately suffer from it. I think the other thing that's really important, and it was to me as a young researcher, was a fantastic bit of fact, if you like, which is that 75% of the population, this is in the UK, but it won't be very different in the US, walk through a general practitioner's door every year, at least once a year. And actually the average rate of visiting now is somewhere between 4 and 5 visits a year. Just think back to maybe your own experience. So we
I
have
want to
this.
think about that.
So we have an unparalleled opportunity, if you like, to make a difference around people's lifestyle. And I think people are now much more so than I think when we started this program of work, very much aware of just how important lifestyle is. And alcohol is one of those very important things. I could talk about the research program at some length. But,
well, this is not why we're here now. We're here because I would like to talk about your international experience, and then I'm saying this to my friends over there that Professor Dr. Wallace does something absolutely amazing in Palestine, but we're coming to that. So, yes, your international work. Yeah? What have you been doing internationally? But don't go to Palestine yet.
Oh, I want to talk about other things. Well, I suppose I've always been very interested in international work and international relations. And
I'm sorry, I forgot. The reason why I wanted to ask you this question is because I read something in the write-up that I received. I read about nuclear. Yes.
The International Physicians for the Prevention of Nuclear War.
Right. Thank you so much.
No, well, that really was when it first started, I suppose. And this is an organization that maybe some of the people watching will be familiar with. But it started really as a result of two very eminent clinicians, cardiologists, both of them. One in what was then the Soviet Union and one in the US. One in the US was from Harvard, Professor Bernard Lown, who was the inventor of the defibrillator that everybody knows.
Yeah.
Hopefully not too well. And the other was Dr. Yevgeny Chazov, who was President Brezhnev's personal cardiologist. And the two of them would meet at cardiology conferences around the world, and they became very good friends. And they started saying to each other, you know, there's not much point in us doing cardiology if our countries keep threatening each other with nuclear annihilation. Nobody's going to survive. And we'd better do something about this situation. And it was they who started the IPPNW, as it became known. And it became active in many countries, and I was a very active member of the UK contingent of IPPNW.
IPPNW.
International Physicians for the Prevention of Nuclear War.
Oh, that's the acronym.
We're very
right.
good at acronyms.
Oh, yeah,
in
my
medicine.
gosh, you have to remember all
Unpronounceable
those letters.
And the exciting, I mean, there were lots of things that were very exciting. I think it was a great privilege for me, apart from anything else, to be a part of that group, but I learned a great deal. But in fact, that group was recognized in 1985 and won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Aye, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And that, of course, now brings me to Palestine, which is, my friends, the reason why we're here. Well, so, we were saying Palestine, and I would like to ask you to explain to the people that are watching us now, what is it that you're doing there? When it started, how it works, the works.
Well, I guess most of the people watching this will be all too familiar with the difficult situation in Palestine. It's something, I think it's a story that is too often in the headlines. And I think most people are aware that it's a very difficult situation. I think many people think of Palestine probably as a war zone, which isn't actually the case. But it's an area where people live under military occupation, and for whatever reasons, and ours is a non-political organization, so we don't go into those reasons. That military occupation has a massive impact on people's lives, whether it's their personal, their social, their work lives, whether it's their experience of health or education. And one of the most difficult things is the issue of actually getting around and maintaining links with the outside world. So the opportunity arose, and I'm very happy to tell you how that happened, for colleagues of mine and myself working in family medicine to support a nascent, developing movement of family medicine in Palestine, and that was in 2012.
Oh, so it's a fairly young, but not so young activity, let's say, program. I'll call it a program.
Yeah, it is a program,
Yeah.
and it's been going now for 6 years. And it started actually, not with me at all, but with a rather wonderful Palestinian physician, Dr. Samar Muzma, who's a lady physician who trained in the West Bank. I think she did her medical postgraduate training in the US, and she certainly did her family physician specialist training in the US. Became a board certified family physician and returned to Palestine with her microbiologist husband, determined to be able to enable the Palestinians to adopt this rather important system. And I'll explain why, or I'll try to explain why family medicine is so critical. And Samar came over to Palestine to start a 4-year residency program, which we'll talk about a bit later on, and realized that actually, wait a second, I'm the only family physician in Palestine. How am I going to train all these new doctors? And so she thought, I'd better look for some help. And she came over to the UK in 2011, spoke at our national academic meeting, we started academic primary care, and I was fortunate enough to hear the seminar that she gave, and she said, is anybody in a position to come out and maybe do some work with us? And yes, I put my hand up and said, as it happens, I've re-engineered my working life just so that I can pick up an opportunity like this. And a few months later, I was out there in Palestine, and we had a chance together to look at what the situation was.
So this is 2011, this is?
That was 2011 that she came. I then went out the following year in May 2012.
So how many times have you been back?
I hate to think, actually, at this point, it used to be something like once or twice a year. I now seem to be going every 3, at the most 4 months, so often 3 or 4 times a year.
Tell us about the program.
Well, I think maybe the program, what I need to start with is the fact that this is a residency program, so it's a specialist training program. Even perhaps before talking about the program, shall I say why family medicine is such an important thing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise,
please do.
I think it's difficult to understand why she would want to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most people think, I think, of general practice in the UK or family medicine elsewhere as being kind of a non-specialty. They say, oh, you're just a GP. And actually, it is, in fact, when it's done properly, a really quite complicated specialty. And it has the ability to really radically change the way people experience healthcare as patients, as communities, and perhaps particularly relevant for Palestine, it has the potential to massively reduce the cost of healthcare, primarily by reducing the amount of medical intervention in hospitals. That's the key thing. And the population in Palestine, having started off very much as a kind of third world population with a very, very large young population with the usual major problems of infectious diseases, perinatal mortality, has now progressed. It's become a much more established population, and like the rest of us, they're developing heart disease, diabetes, mental health problems, cancer. And those complex issues require physicians at the front line, like family physicians, to be able to manage complexity, and risk. And that's not something that the current primary care workforce was trained and necessarily able to do. So that was the reason that Samar said, I've got to start this in Palestine. Our GDP in Palestine is tiny. 60% of the economy is paid for by overseas donations. And so that massive drain going through for paying for hospitals is a really key issue.
Let me just ask you this before you get into what you just said about donations. So this program is funded by donations?
So our program, as it's developed in those 6 years, quite slowly and gradually, has been based on one very important premise, which is that those people who work with us, most of them are physicians, not all of them. We have evaluators and digital technology experts. But everybody who works with us does so free of charge. This is an unpaid service. But what we do need is the funds to be able to get people out there, to pay for their travel, get them out there, pay for their accommodation and subsistence. And we've been very fortunate in having support.
So, also sorry for interrupting you. So all the people, including you, do this for free.
Yeah, this is done for free, and people aren't. I don't know whether this is surprising to your viewers and yourself, but people actually are very motivated to do this and see it very much as a privilege to be able to go and spend time doing this kind of work. Of course, it depends very much if they've got space within their professional lives, but a lot of them are like me towards the end of their professional careers and able increasingly to make time. But we've got a fantastic group of young physicians who make time to do this, either by taking time unpaid leave from work or by coming out on their vacation. So it's a fantastic group. I'm very lucky to have a group of such good people around.
When we were talking before, you, and actually even a second ago, you said that not all the people operating on the program are physicians. Some of them are also, what did you call them, technical engineers?
Yes, I said that there are digital experts.
Digital
as well.
experts. How does that come into play?
Well, one of the things, I suppose we have a series of barriers. And perhaps it's worth saying that one of the most important components of what we do goes beyond the technical. It's around extending solidarity and companionship and support, if you like, ethical support to colleagues in the West Bank who, because of the military occupation, find it very difficult to have those contacts. They're not able easily to move either outside of the territories or even within the territories. There are real issues. So it's very important for us to be able to establish those relationships and to build bridges with us, but with other colleagues. And of course, physical movement is one of the things. We go out there from time to time, but being able to use telecommunications and digital technologies, even something as simple as Skype, which we do regularly, means that we can be in touch with them. But we've also got a series of online programs that we have digital expertise to help us with.
Would it be like something like e-education?
It is like e-education, that's exactly right. So we have case-based seminars that take place once a month on a Sunday, which is a working day, when the residents in their training program have an academic day, and they will hook up with people within the faculty at An-Najjar University in the West Bank and colleagues of mine from my organization, Family Medicine for Palestinians. And we will do an online seminar where people will participate by chat and by audio and discuss cases. And where the second thing that we're doing, which we're very excited about, is developing an online program designed to reach all of the clinicians, not just doctors, but also nurses, midwives, pharmacists.
Also, it's branching out.
That is, it's branching out, all of it around family medicine.
Yeah.
Because as one of our great supporters, Professor Salim Haj Yahya, who is a remarkable cardiac specialist, who's a specialist in cardiac transplantation, who ran the Scottish transplantation service for many years and decided to come back to Palestine and build a teaching hospital and run a cardiology service there. He's an inspirational figure. He said, and I quote him, "Reforming family medicine in Palestine would be the most important health reform for 100 years." So when you have the support of a cardiac transplant surgeon, you know you're doing the right thing.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And can you explain to me a little bit how, if I were a young doctor, wanted to become a family doctor or a GP, how do I apply?
Well, around the world, there is a kind of standard program now, which is running in almost every country, which means that just like any other specialty, just like an ear, nose and throat specialist or a gynecologist or a psychiatrist or an orthopedic surgeon, you have to specialize. You have to go through a series of specialization posts and undertake examinations. And those programs for general practice or family medicine are usually 3 to 4 years. And the wonderful Dr. Sama Muzma decided to go for a 4-year program in Palestine just to make life more difficult. And in those 4 years, the residents who are successful in getting on the program spend roughly half of their time learning in a hospital setting. Again, doing the sort of specialties I was just talking about, orthopedics, psychiatry, accident and emergency. And the other half of their time they spend working as a family physician, but under supervision of an experienced family physician who will take them aside, ask them about how their surgery went, maybe discuss particular cases, observe them. They'll do some simulated consultations as well. So it's an intensive 4-year program, at the end of which they have to sit a board exam, and then they become a specialist in family medicine.
How exciting. It must be quite something, eh? How do the people welcome you there when you go there?
That's a lovely question, actually. I was going to say with open arms, because they are, and Emanuela, you'll understand this, that I always say that the Palestinians and the Sicilians are very close. Geographically and culturally, they're incredibly warm-hearted, open-minded society. And I'm Jewish, and half of the group is Jewish, and we get welcomed with open arms in the knowledge that we're Jewish. That wouldn't be the same, I think, if we were Israelis. That's a different issue, but the hospitality is wonderful. We're constantly being fed those wonderful Palestinian cakes, fantastic cardamom coffee, and nothing is too much for them. So actually it's a huge pleasure and a privilege to be working with these people. But they're also very thirsty for the information and the support and the knowledge.
Well, we have actually, first of all, I want to thank you very much, of course, and we have actually reached the end of our conversation simply because I have a limited amount of time for my YouTube thing.
And thanks to people for watching.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and goodbye, my friends. We'll see you at the next Conversazione in Terrazza.